Later this week, President Joe Biden will sign the nation's biggest ever climate package into law. Not one Republican supported the measure. Alex Cameron in our News on 6 Washington Bureau looks at some of the criticism from Oklahoma's delegation.
The so-called Inflation Reduction Act passed the 50-50 Senate under reconciliation, meaning it only needed a simple majority, which it got with the vice president's tie-breaking vote. It was nearly as close in the House. The bill needed 218 votes to pass and got 220.
The motion is adopted.
Democrats cheered passage of legislation they say will reduce greenhouse gas emissions through tax incentives to boost solar and wind energy production and electric vehicle purchases, while at the same time cutting the cost of prescription drugs, reducing inflation and the deficit. Republicans say that's pie in the sky.
It does nothing to deal with inflation. Indeed, during the Rules Committee, we submitted a letter from 280 economists that said this is going to make it worse, not better.
And Congressman Tom Cole says if it does cut the deficit, it's not until 7 years from now.
That assumes everything stays the same for 7 years. That's not going to happen.
Perhaps the delegation's biggest objection is how it's all financed, largely through a 15% minimum tax on billion-dollar companies. They say that tax will be passed on to consumers.
This legislation will raise Americans' taxes and give that money to hand-picked socialist green companies. I wouldn't be proud of that if I were them.
The last thing the American people need is new taxes and more failed policy, said the 5th District's Stephanie Bice. Frank Lucas agrees. This is the wrong plan at the wrong time and for all the wrong reasons. While the president will formally sign the bill into law later this week, the White House is planning a bigger, more celebratory signing ceremony for September. In our Washington Bureau, I'm Oklahoma's own Alex Cameron.